Good evening, everybody. My name's Tom Stoukas, coming to you live from Sarnia, Ontario, on Election Eve, April 27th. And, it's not a sleepy Sunday. It's a busy Sunday, last day of the election. And this horrible, horrible tragedy, which happened in Vancouver last night. But it's becoming fully realized today how horrible it is. It's 11 people dead, and dozens more, who knows how many more injured, after a car or a SUV just went right into a crowd of people at a Filipino festival in Vancouver. Just horrible. And so, yeah, definitely who would have thought the last day of the election would have been this. Obviously, the leaders responded to it and lots of reaction to it, and they caught the guy too. Like, he's some 30-year-old. I don't know what he is. He's an Asian, but I don't know if he's what ethnicity he is. But I guess he has mental issues. Cops knew about him, and he had mental issues. So, like, what the hell happened there? I'm gonna figure that out, because he shouldn't have been out and driving, at least, or he shouldn't have been unsupervised for sure, man. Like, holy, how many of these guys are around, lurking around, ready to go off? So, yeah, election eve, and obviously we see the last minute whining too of the Conservatives against PPC right till the bitter end. They're pushing this blaming PPC for their shitty campaign, when you could blame Doug Ford, or point the finger at Doug Ford for not wanting, at the very least, not keeping quiet about Pierre. Like, he didn't have to help him, but at least, let's say, people are mad that he didn't just keep quiet about it. Anyway, there's issues in New Brunswick, Nova Scotia too. So, like, people have this perception now that Pierre can't get along with anybody in his own party. So that would do more damage to Pierre's election chances than PPC, minimal PPC vote splitting. But they're still bitching about PPC, like, whining, really, instead of focusing, improving your game. And yeah, it's still up in the air, the election. I know the polls show the Liberals are going to win, but they're just polls. Sometimes polls can be totally wrong. So I'll be watching. It'll be interesting. Very interesting. And like I've been saying, regardless of the general polls, the real battleground is Ontario, because we have the 120 seats, and it's just the way it's always been. Ontario's been, like, since the start. And the Conservatives, according to the pollsters, and they might just be hedging their bets at the last minute just to say, oh, it's tightening up. But according to them, it's tightening up with the Conservatives, competitive in some of the Golden Horseshoe, like, ridings. Lots of people there, lots of ridings. So it's going to be battles, a lot of battles to watch tomorrow. But whatever happens, Ontario will dictate the rest. Like, BC might hold some relevance when it comes to if it's going to be a majority or a minority, or how big a majority, whatever. But Ontario's going to decide the bulk of it. Especially, like, Quebec's kind of a non-factor, because Conservatives aren't going to win many seats regardless there. Atlantic provinces don't have. So yeah, they don't have that many seats, and they're mostly Liberal anyway. And then Vancouver, I mean, BC's splitting. Even like there's 40 seats there, but you know those will be important seats too because there's a lot of them outside of Ontario. That's a good chunk outside of Ontario. So yeah, it'll be so interesting to see, and hopefully the if Pierre loses some of the conservative influencers will be all right. They'll be you know when your team loses in the playoffs, and you get upset for a week. Maybe that's all it'll be. Hopefully, we'll do the wellness check. But they still might win. I hope they win. It'd be nice. I don't have any hope, much hope in either party. So I'm just more interested in the what, just interested to see who wins. So that's the rundown, I guess. But Ontario is the one to watch tomorrow, the battleground. Whatever way Ontario breaks, that's going to be the way to go. That's going to be the break or make or break for the Conservatives is Ontario. I got to go vote tomorrow too. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. So Kai G. Adam is his name. 30 years old, charged with 8 charges of murder so far. I don't know why only 8, because there's 11 people dead. Holy. 11 killed at Vancouver Filipino Festival. That's horrible. They're going to have something now where you have to have, like, if you have an area like Nathan Phillips Fair is in Toronto, and it's an area too where there's tons of people congregate. If someone got a car in there, they can do some damage. So they got to have, like, they're going to have to, unfortunately, if people are going to be doing this, because it happens in other countries too, like crazy unstable people with a car apparently is very dangerous, and they're going to have to figure out, like, okay, if you got a big crowds here, a way that no vehicle can enter that perimeter. Unfortunately, that sucks. Fucking animals. And the guy, we'll look at the video of the guy. He's definitely not all up. Definitely not all there. Oh my God! How's this guy driving around in an SUV? We got to figure that. I want to hear all this. I want to hear the whole story, like details, because this is messed up. So, my condolences to all those families. Just going out for a good time. It sucks. There'll be some rough time ahead for them. So, hopefully that is not a trend. Hopefully it's, like I said, it's a, what's the word? A blip. Like it's just once in a time. Like once, doesn't happen all the time, hopefully. We don't need this happening all the time because that would be crazy. All right. So, yeah. Whatever happens, happens. But the fight will continue. Like, let's say the Liberals win. definitely they're gonna go nuts on us. They're gonna go probably into like all sorts of like censorship bill, like resume some censorship bills and all sorts of probably UBI will be coming and all that sort, lots of stuff, radical stuff, and so there'll be plenty to fight against when they if they win. So tomorrow was just a start, really. I think if the Conservatives win, I mean, at this point, it doesn't even look like it looks like a minority is their best shot, and I can't see them governing too effective with a minority dependent on like the bloc, let's say, or it might. I don't know. You never know. Politics makes strange bedfellows, but I mean that seems like their best shot at this point. I don't see like nobody's really saying they're going to get a majority. Even their diehard supporters or influencers would be happy with a minority at this point. I think so. It's a kind of a non-issue. Like, would be back at the polls probably within a year or two. So we're screwed either way. I mean, might as well get the devil now and deal with it now. Something like that. All right. But yeah, the fight doesn't end tomorrow. It keeps going. So we look to the day today, Sunday. Pretty nice day out. Streets were a little empty today, though. I don't know, like a zombie movie almost. All right. I had a lot of technical difficulties last night. I was very frustrated, but I think we're good. Sometimes it just happens. Okay. Let's go on to this. So that's what I woke up to. A mass attack at Vancouver Street Festival. Well, I heard about it before I went to sleep, but didn't you don't know the first when it first happens. It's you don't know how bad it really was, but it kept getting worse, and you kind of knew it was bad, but really didn't crystallize until I woke up and saw the news reports. So mass attack at Vancouver Street Festival's dark appall over final day of election campaign. Yeah, that's the last thing I would have expected. And the thing is, Jagmeet apparently was just there. Jagmeet Singh was just there at that festival, and he left like shortly before that happened. So crazy. And there's a guy here. What the fuck? Look at this guy's eyes, man. Let's see this guy. And this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Hold on. This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like, the guy just caused total carnage, hell on earth, and he's just standing by a chain link fence. No cops, no. Like, what the hell is happening? That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. it's like, it's weird, man. Like, he should have been hustled off. Like, what's going on here? It's so weird. Anyway, like, it's like he had a car accident or something. That's how they're treating him. Like,
That's him. That's him. You're going to get shit. He killed a 2-year-old kid. What you did?
like, that's weird.
A 22-year-old woman.
That's him. That's him. You're going to get shit. He killed a 2-year-old kid.
That's crazy. We got to find out more about this guy. But apparently, the cops knew him. He's had mental issues, so he interacted with police a few times. Because, you know, sometimes you think maybe he was drunk or something there, but it looks like apparently he's got mental issues. And like I said, the question is, how many more of these crazy people are living among us? We got to find out what this guy's deal is.
Oh. That's him.
Like, he looks so weird. Like, his like, he doesn't look like he looks like he's in a daze or something. He's lucky he didn't get lynched. If he was in a different area, or like a different city, maybe like Philly or something, or LA or Oakland, he would have been lynched, man.
Try again. Prime Minister, thanks for doing this.
My pleasure, Mark.
This is that was Carney and Tim Hortons there. I don't know if I want to watch that. Ugh. Let's see. Vancouver, evolving mass death investigation. Oh. Just horrible, horrible stuff. And I saw the SUV, the picture, and it was like totally destroyed. The front of it. Oh my God. What the hell is this guy thinking, man? Next post here is the daily tracking poll. Shows the Liberals with a 4-point lead. It's probably more in Ontario, but they say it's tightening up in Ontario. Ontario's for anybody not watching, or well, I don't think they're going to be watching, but they'll be waiting for the results probably. But Ontario is one to watch. Ontario battleground. Very close still. 4%, 4 points isn't that far. There's more video of this guy.
Smile, smile, you fuck. Smile.
He's saying sorry.
What the fuck? Smile. Smile, you fuck. Smile. Won't you fucking say what the fuck? Smile. Smile, you fuck. Smile. Won't you fucking say what the fuck?
Could you imagine, eh? This guy saying sorry after causing all that. That's crazy.
Smile.
That's crazy. And I saw this post today. I'm like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. Here I am spouting off about how we shouldn't have foreign-born candidates because all it does is increase the chance of foreign interference, especially from China and India and probably Israel too, but we don't have an issue. We don't have too many Israeli MPs. Lots of Chinese and Indian MPs though. And so here I am complaining about foreign-born MPs, and then what's CTV do? They do an article on immigrant MP candidates push for a new Canadian dream. Let's read the article. So basically the opposite of what I've been saying. Oh, well. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I'm not saying it as a bad thing. I'm just saying it's the way all this foreign interference is piping up in Canadian politics. It's probably a good idea not to have so many foreign candidates, like a lot of foreign candidates. And they're cabinet ministers too. Like no other country would do this. So anyway, even in the States, very, very rare there's a foreign-born senator, okay? The odd time there's a foreign-born congressman, but those they don't have much power, like unless they rise up to a leadership position, and very, very, very few foreign-born congresspeople rise up in either party. But in Canada, they're like cabinet ministers, or they have positions, which is, I'm sure that maybe they're qualified, whatever. But the point is we have a lot more foreign-born MPs than the U.S. has Congress women or men. And here we are promoting it more, CTV. Basically the opposite of what I've been saying. So we got one from Afghanistan. So it's basically an article on foreign-born MPs. I gave them the idea. See, we got one from Afghanistan, and she is running for the Liberals. Okay. Who we got here? Jose de Lima. Where did he come from? Brazil. All right. So can you imagine me? Sorry, guys. But you imagine me going to Brazil. Say, hey, I think Brazil's cool. I'm going to go live there. Whatever. Even like I married a Brazilian, we moved there. And then I said, hey, I'm going to run for Brazilian parliament. That makes no sense. Sorry. I wouldn't do it because I don't have that lived experience. I could be a great citizen. I could work jobs, be gainfully employed, do whatever I want, pursue my ambitions. Just can't be a parliament member, and I don't think you'd be that effective. Anyway. But Canada, it's the land for everybody, from anywhere to do anything. So basically, that's just a weak article, nothing. I just thought it was funny because it's basically the opposite of what I've been saying. I seen this Tyson Hockley. He's a little kid. Good for him. He's interested in politics. I think a lot of the kids should do like him and put down the PlayStation and maybe try and inform yourself, obviously, as much as possible. But he's getting slandered by the fake conservatives like Wyatt Claypool, Grandma Claypool, who basically saying this guy, oh, he's anti-Semitic or he's a grifter. He's 17 years old. Leave him alone. It's funny. But they're worse than the lefty, the commies on the left who want to cancel everybody if you say a bad thing or a word or a bad joke. The same thing with this guy. If you say things bad about Israel, it's like, oh, cancel the 17-year-old. I don't know him. He's probably just a dumb kid, but good for him. He's trying to be political. He seems like he's trying.
I did a debate
to get involved.
10 days ago, maybe.
Here we have
about.
Okay, here's Pierre today, I think, or today or yesterday. And this is another problem with Pierre's. He talks about nurses and foreign doctors and foreign nurses. But he never says anything about the ones that got fired for COVID or protecting that from happening again, or promoting medical schools for spots for Canadians. Whatever. Like, getting doctors and nurses from India ain't the answer. Trust me, I have firsthand experience on that.
32,000.
Let's see what he says.
This young lady was asking about healthcare. Do you know we have 20,000 immigrant nurses and 32,000 20,000 immigrant doctors, 32,000 nurses that cannot work in our system because they can't get a license to practice. You know, they say in Toronto, if you have a heart attack, don't call 911, call an Uber because the driver is probably a doctor.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
That's a good point. I agree with you on that as well. I agree with you on that, and I will also say this. We have a plan for change. We will bring in a national Blue Seal standard that can be tested so that newcomers
Blue Seal, this ain't a restaurant.
take a test, prove they're qualified, get working in our hospitals, helping reduce the wait lines. We will add thousands of new doctors to our system.
You hear that? Thousands of new doctors. If we wouldn't need thousands of new doctors if we controlled our border and not let people come here nonstop and bring their, especially a lot of Indians, they bring their grandmas and grandpas over and they end up sitting in the hospital. So maybe instead of hiring all these foreign doctors, maybe don't bring in as many foreign people. Trust me, you do not need all Indian doctors.
That you deserve for a change.
So this is what he's,
This young lady was asking about healthcare.
Canadian
Do you know we
Patriots,
have
saying
20,000
instead of training Canadians for these high-paying jobs, Pierre wants to fast-track unqualified immigrants to take our jobs and drive down wages. Pierre doesn't represent change. It's just less terrible, extreme globalism. Yeah. Pathetic, really. Anything he kept saying during the campaign. He kept saying, anybody from anywhere can do anything in Canada. That's the Canadian promise. And, you know, bring that flight from Amritsar because you can do anything in Canada. That direct flight. All right. Now here's, I don't know what this is. Kalshi. I don't know about these odd betting things, but whatever. We got to look at them. We'll look at them. And they're saying 80% chance for Carney to win. It doesn't say minority or majority, which is kind of big difference, but maybe not that big a difference because it seems like they're banking on a majority, but even if they do get a minority, the NDP will support whatever they do, it looks like. So 80% chance for Carney. We shall see tomorrow. And here's another example with Doug Ford. And so throughout this campaign, the PPC has been slagged. PPC, like-minded PPC, people not happy with the Conservative Party and their globalist leanings and their kind of fake conservative. And they've been vilified and they've been treated horribly because they don't want to vote for the Conservatives. And instead of, bitching about PPC or like-minded PPC people, they should look at Doug Ford, because Doug Ford is doing way worse damage to Pierre's campaign than the PPC. Way worse. Because, like we said, Ontario is the prize, the battleground, and Ford is the premier of Ontario. He's got the machine in Ontario. If he wanted to let that machine loose, he could have done it, and he didn't. And in fact, him and his advisor are saying lots of embarrassing things about Pierre and his campaign. So people can blame Doug Ford, and Doug maybe he doesn't like Pierre. That's fine. But he has to. People say, but he should have put party before his personal thing. Whatever. He'll be judged on it. I don't care. But it is what it is. Is Doug Ford's done way more damage. Maybe PPC hurt Aaron O'Toole last election. Maybe PPC because they were surging with the COVID. But this election, it was Doug Ford who pooched Pierre. Especially if Ontario's deciding the election, you got Doug Ford saying stuff like this. So first you got Corey Tenecke calling campaign, or saying it was campaign malpractice the way they ran the campaign, and calling Pierre a cheap karaoke version of Trump. This is Doug Ford's people, not Maxime Bernier. So, or the Liberals. This is Doug Ford's people. And then here Doug Ford said truth hurts about Pierre's shitty campaign. And now Doug Ford is saying that Pierre refused to build relationships with the premiers or anyone else, or local mayors. Anyone. I don't understand it. It's his campaign manager, in my opinion, Ford said. So, yeah, probably Pierre's fault. His failure. When you're running a national campaign, you have to make sure all these guys are on board with your campaign. If you want to win. If you don't want to win, then to hell with them. So, this is a story. First run for mug. So, but we'll see tomorrow. But like I said, Doug Ford controls the Conservative machine in Ontario, like a provincial machine. They just went through an election. They have all the data, but they don't want to help. They didn't want to help, and they didn't. Not only did they not want to help, but they actively criticized. So no love lost between those two. And again, final popular vote estimate. Again, the popular vote is not as important as the regional weighting, especially Ontario. And here they are begging. 3% of going to be instrumental. Who can you spot them? Kean, Bext, whatever. Cry some more. And I said, complain to Doug Ford instead. And here's Rotten saying, my favorite part about when Liberals win the election Monday, we'll be watching how pleb and others take it. CP has not had strong leadership or conservative stances in a long time. It's why they keep losing. Yeah, I think I'm very interested to see what changes will happen in the Conservative Party, because unless they do a major rebuild and be tough, not fake, retarded conservatives, then the Liberals are going to be in charge, unfortunately, until there's a revolution or something. But if the CPC needs to be a credible opposition, and for 10 years they pooched that, they sucked. And then lots of begging tonight from the Conservatives for PPC to come out and vote for their boys and girls. PPC supporters, for all that is holy. For all that is holy. Please vote Conservative. I understand Pierre isn't your guy in that he's not conservative enough for you. But Pierre is someone you can work with, while Mark is a CBDC supporting, 15 city loving central banker and globalist. Yes, all right. And I said, like I said, blame Doug Ford, but begging for votes on election eve from people you ridiculed is not a good look. Yeah, so you can't beg people that you mocked and called names. You can't beg them for votes after, when you at the last minute. It's kind of weak. All right. There's Nick Kuvalis. His final comment saying the race in Ontario is tight and Liberals went from a 15-point lead to like a 10-point lead. And it could be tight tomorrow because the CPC's been gaining. So yeah, we'll see. And here's a picture I saw that kind of, for me, kind of describes the Conservative Party. So it's Aaron O'Toole, which the shoes fit him perfectly, it looks like. So yeah, this is a thing they wear. I think it's retarded, but they wear red shoes, women's shoes, to help solidarity with women or something. You know, I would just pay the money. Here's the money. I'm not wearing the shoes. But it's just kind of encapsulates the Conservative Party perfectly. We'll see when they lose, if they lose tomorrow, if they lose. And they keep bitching about the PPC. It's a stupid argument, really, like this vote splitting argument. First of all, Liberals never bitch about Green vote splitting or NDP vote splitting. Never. So it's like, it's kind of weak. You're always complaining about it. And second, a lot of PPC are strong in the West, strong where the Conservatives are already strong. Like, I'll give you my riding here in Sarnia is guaranteed to go Conservative, so I could vote PPC. It won't matter. So the vote splitting thing is a garbage argument. The real problem is Pierre is not connecting, and he pissed off the premier of the biggest province, who happens to be a Conservative, supposedly. And, you know, he can't close the deal. So, crying about PPC, which is basically minimal, making a minimal, very minimal. Even if they vote split 1 or 2 or 3 seats, it won't make a difference. It's not, we're talking about 30 seats here. So they're weak, and I'm afraid for Pleb and all those other guys. Are they going to be all right tomorrow? What are they going to do if Pierre loses? They've been there at this for years with Pierre. So that's about it. Until tomorrow, we'll go vote, and then bring Canada into a new era tomorrow. Whether we go down the continued road we're on, globalist destruction of Canada as we know it, like we're on our way. We're not finished. We're not there yet, but we continue that road. Or we start some real pushback against this globalist ideology, like, and, you know, make Canada like a strong, common sense country, like, you know, proud of its history. But I don't know. It's not looking good. So, onward and upward. So, we'll see tomorrow, or we'll see what happens tomorrow. Election day. Good luck, everybody. Good night.